Zweli Martin Dlamini is the managing editor of the SWAZILAND News, an online publication. He joins us via Skype from Mbabane in eSwatini for more on this. Zweli, good evening and thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Good evening, Lulu. Thank you for having me.
Now, Zweli, talk to us about the protest action that's taking place tomorrow. We've already seen in the last couple of weeks where protest action had been taking place and there was violent shutdowns by police and, people were injured. Talk to us about tomorrow's protest. Is it going to take place?
Yes, Lulu, it is going to take place. What actually happened is that on Sunday this week, political parties called an urgent meeting that was held at SNAT Center, where many issues were deliberated, including the proposed protest march that will take place tomorrow on Wednesday. They are demanding democratic reforms, Lulu. You will know that in the Kingdom of Eswatini, it is ruled by an absolute monarch. So the citizens here, they believe the socio-economic challenges they are currently facing is due to poor leadership. So among other things, they are now demanding that King Mswati III hand over power to the people. The proposed march tomorrow is organized by an alliance of political parties known as a Political Parties Assembly. This alliance includes the People's United Democratic Movement, the Communist Party of Swaziland, the Swaziland Democratic Party, and the Ngwane National Liberation Congress. Lulu, what actually triggered this protest? Because it's not the only one that will be happening tomorrow. The universities here are rocked by a series of protests. They are angered by the purchasing of the much publicized Rolls-Royce cars and the BMWs that collectively cost about $500 million.
Now, what is expected to take place tomorrow with all these parties coming together and moving onto the streets? We've seen civil servants protesting. We've seen student protests taking place. And what's the reaction from the king himself and his leadership with regards to this protest action that is expected to take place tomorrow?
The situation is tense, Lulu, here in the Kingdom of Eswatini. Already, as journalists, we are following information that some union leaders and members of the progressive are being targeted. There will be a brutal crackdown. We are expecting that there might be a brutal crackdown, particularly on union leaders and members of the progressive movement. Information that came from the palace is that the king is saying he won't go down without a fight. He's aware that the people now want him to step down. They want to remove him from power. So you know how dictators react to such a protest, Lulu. But there's a meeting, a national meeting that will be held on Saturday, this Saturday, where political party assembly invited all concerned Mswati who are not happy with the current political situation and socio-economic challenges to attend, where some of these challenges affecting the country will be deliberated at length.
We saw a few months ago, about 2 months ago, 3 months ago, where Eswatini ministers were told to tighten their belts to help lift the economy. Has that even happened?
Lulu, what is happening here? The current cabinet tried to introduce some austerity measures, but the way this country is governed, there is an administration that is stationed in the king's office. and there's another one that is stationed in Babane. So the administration that is in the King's office is the one that is masterminding these massive and expenditure, whereby money is transferred from the public coffers in Abane to an account that is held and controlled by the King's office. So even if the cabinet can introduce austerity measures and tighten the belt, but it's very hard because you will find the king purchasing cars, expensive cars, a series of trips whereby he will spoil his children, take them to overseas countries. So it's a mess because as much as we have austerity measures here, the king is spending money the way he wants.
Now, what's the justification of the new purchases, the Rolls Royces and the BMWs that we've seen with, visuals going viral? What is the justification from the King's office with regards to these purchases?
What actually happened, Lulu, when the pictures started emerging on social media, one of our journalists, Eugene Dube from the SWAZILAND News, it conducted the chief executive officer in the King's office, Mr. Wakwakamete, where he asked him to explain how and why the king purchased these expensive cars. Mr. Kamete said these cars were purchased through a special account for the king. And it later emerged that this was a big lie because it transpired that there was about 1.3 billion that was transferred from the public funds to the King's office. And what he said was that that was a budget approved by Parliament. And then while we were still shocked by the purchasing of the Rolls cars and questioning the circumstances surrounding that, the issue of the BMWs emerged, and the government spokesperson said it was an open tender that was conducted last year. In fact, it wasn't the government spokesperson, it was the Minister of Public Works and Transport who said that these cars were purchased last year. An order was placed last year. Maybe what I can explain here briefly is that they are now trying to shift the blame to the late Prime Minister, Mr. Sibusiso Barnabas Dlamini, because he's now no more, he cannot answer for himself. Because when they say this cause an order was placed in July last year, they are now shifting the goalpost.
Now, talk to us about the situation in eSwatini. What are the people on the ground saying, in terms of the poverty, in terms of, sick people, in terms of food shortages? Talk to us about the situation that has led to these protest action, because over a number of years, we've seen protest actions, taking place, and as you mentioned earlier, targets on union leaders and opposition leaders, where people would be arrested and, beaten up. What's the situation on the ground economically for Eswatini?
The situation is bad, Lulu. There's a secret report that we're trying to get hold on. It's suggesting that about 150 people are dying in the virus hospital every day because they are not drugged in hospital. The health system has completely collapsed. Again, the education system is slowly collapsing as there are no working material. Government sometimes will delay to pay for pre-primary education, scholarships for students. As I said earlier, the kingdom is also rocked by a series of protests in the various universities. So the situation is getting tense, and It's now uncontrollable because people are now angry, and particularly because as the country is facing these challenges, the king is seen living a luxury life and an extravagant life while the people are suffering.
Now, Zweli, very quickly, we've run out of time, but in terms of the protest action, when does it start tomorrow and where is everyone meeting? What's the meeting point? Is it in Mbabane? Is it Manzini? Where exactly is the protest action going to be starting from?
The meeting point is in Mbabane, and the protesters are expected to deliver a petition to the office of the Prime Minister. And they are also plan to go to the High Commissioner, the office of the High Commissioner in South African High Commissioner to Eswatini. They are complaining that South Africa is too soft to the Kingdom of Eswatini, despite the socio-economic challenges, the political crisis that manifest here.
Zweli, thank you so much for your time. We'll leave it there for now. That is Zweli Martin Dlamini, the managing editor of the Swaziland News, an online publication, joining us from the Kingdom of Eswatini via Skype.